This is Dan of Vagabond Awake.
𝗔薔薇 from 𝗂𝗏 Venture.
And today we'd like to discuss whether we rather retire in Mexico, Guatemala, or the Philippines. And the reason we're picking those three is over the last year we spent about 8 months in Philippines,
Yes.
6 months in Mexico,
Yes.
and about a month and a half in Guatemala. And so they're fresh in our mind. But we want to talk about more, it's more of a gut feeling about a few categories. We want to talk about beaches, restaurant, cost of living, nature, weather, dating, markets, visa, and language. And then at the end we'll say, okay, you have to live somewhere for a year. Where do you pick? Mm-hmm. So that's what we're up to today. So let's start with beaches. For those three countries, what are your thoughts about beaches?
Well, in Mexico, we know that they have beautiful beaches, and we was explore the Mexico. That 6 months is about the beach.
Yeah.
So we found some affordable living in the Mexico near to the beach. Or you want a beautiful one, or you want the like Pacific size one.
Yeah.
So. I see both have their beauty. Yeah.
Both Pacific and
Caribbean, because that in Puerto Escondido they also have tranquil water.
Yeah.
Yeah, with slightly white color sand, not perfect white color. Yeah.
And I would also give the award to Mexico for beaches. The truth is the Philippines probably have the most beautiful beaches in the world, but they're often in remote places and you have to take a ferry to get to it. They're not right where you live. But in Mexico, they're almost all right where you live. You often don't even have to get in a taxi or ride a bike. Just walk a few blocks and you're at a beautiful beach.
Yes.
So for that reason, because of accessibility to the beaches, I also give the award to Mexico. And then Philippines would be number 2. Guatemala is not really known for its beaches, so it would have to be in third.
Yeah.
The next category, it's a tough one, but restaurants. What do you think? What do you think about restaurants?
To be honest, I cannot say the food in these 3 countries that much, unless that we all know Mexico for taco. So
yeah,
it's taco, burrito, and Guatemala. Their traditional food with the roasted chicken. Roasted chicken is everywhere they have.
Yeah.
So I cannot compare. And Philippines is a roasted beef. Roasted pork, not beef.
Pork, yeah.
Yeah. So if for the vegetarian choices, it's quite hard to find in these 3 countries.
Right. For traditional local foods, I would agree. Other than Mexico has a lot of vegetarian foods, but you often have to worry about whether or not they're putting like lard in the beans and that kind of thing. So overall, all three of those countries are not really known for food.
Yeah.
But they both do have a lot of great choices with respect to, I would say, Guatemala, like Antigua, and Mexico, certainly Mexico City, which we're not generally talking about now, but because we spent the last 6 months at beaches, but I would say areas like Playa del Carmen and Huatuco, and here and there you'll find some good foreign restaurants.
Yes, and you will find some good local typical foods. They have a lot nice taco, but if ask you like 365 days, ask you eat taco every day, I don't think so. Maybe you are. Yeah,
well, and we cook a lot at home for that reason. So I would say of the 3, I probably would, for food, I would probably give the award to maybe Guatemala, but Antigua in specific. They have a lot of great expat restaurants there, I would say. And then you have, in Mexico, you have, there aren't as many in a condensed area. Maybe that's how to say it. Antigua had a lot of good food in a condensed area. So.
Yeah.
Moving on to cost of living. That's kind of a tough one because It depends where you're talking about, right?
Yes.
Like Playa del Carmen's like crazy expensive, and then just right up the road, Puerto Morales, we were living around $1,000 a month.
Yes.
And then in Guatemala, we lived in $1,000 a month, whether we were in 𝗂𝐴𝐻 or Antigua. And then in the Philippines, we could also live on $1,000. So I would say all three are very competitive
Yeah.
with respect to cost of living.
I mean, you are very easy to be live under $1,000 a month if you are not drinking that much.
Right, right.
Yeah.
And all three of them also have the characteristic of city versus province.
Yeah.
So the further away you get from population centers, the cheaper the rents are, the cheaper the food is, and the cheaper living is not in the expat areas, if you will, or tourist areas. And so that's true of all three, really.
Yeah, if you specify with that, the place is like Portugal, Porto Molesto, and Guatemala in Antigua or Lake Atitlan,
Yeah.
Philippines, Dumaguete, or my favorite one is all this, and those places that we can live under the less than $1,000 a month. We can't, but not mean that you can.
Doesn't mean you can, but many people can. But in most of those places, expats are going to be saying, "Oh, you can't live for less than $2,000 a month or $1,500 a month." But if you're frugal like we are, and you cook at home, and you're smart, and you're not trying to live like you in your home country, then you can achieve the kind of money that we live on. So, what about nature?
Nature? How you mean by nature?
Like if you think, wow, not just the beach, but also like mountains and waterfalls and hiking and bike riding, just being out in nature in the general sense. Which of those three come to mind for you of the places we visited over the last year?
I think I was impressed by Guatemala in Antigua, those mountain view.
Yeah.
When we take a boat from the San Pedro to Santiago.
Yeah.
That area, the port
Lake Atitlan.
Yeah, is surrounded by the mountain, which is very amazing. And so Philippines, they have a beautiful waterfall.
Right.
Yeah, and yes.
Yeah, I mean, in the Philippines, you just hop on a scooter and drive around, and just everywhere you drive is beautiful.
Yes.
Or walk around, whatever the case may be. And then Mexico, of course, depends where you're talking about. I mean, it's amazing beaches. Over the last 6 months, we were only in beaches, beach, but talk about beautiful beaches. And so it also has beautiful nature. And so all three are beautiful nature. I would say in terms of stunning photography, I would say maybe the Philippines. But again, some of the places are kind of remote. They're not right where you live necessarily. In Mexico, it's going to be the white sand beaches right where you're living, like along the Quintana Roo area. In Guatemala, it's hard to beat Lake Atitlan, and then, like you said, all the mountains. So
actually, in Mexico, they have a beautiful waterfall area we haven't visited. It's near to the Mexico City. That is our trip that we will go back, and definitely will be visit that place.
Right.
Yes.
And so, what about dating? If you were single, where would you rather be dating?
I think that I should ask you this question. If you are single, where you think that you would be rather to be stay?
Well, it's a fairly complicated question, but I think overall, I probably would pick the Philippines for dating, because there just seems to be more single women. They're speaking English, and culturally they're pretty similar to Americans, and so I would probably pick the Philippines. Where would you pick?
Me?
Yeah.
I don't know. I didn't think to date somebody. No, it depends. But I know that in Guatemala it's very hard to date.
Yeah.
Yeah. And Mexico, it's not bad. You
Yeah,
know,
Mexico would be okay, but it depends on where. Like somewhere like Mexico City would probably be easy to date, or in Playa del Carmen, where I may not want to live so much, but it'd probably be easy to meet expats there and locals.
Yes.
So it depends on where in Mexico, but Mexico is a great place to date too. For me, the problem would be the language barrier. I mean, immediately I could speak to Filipinos. But for all three countries, the problem is if you fell in love, they wouldn't be a Malaysian and they wouldn't be able to travel with you everywhere. So that would be, it's hard. Mexicans need a visa to go places, so do Filipinos and so do Guatemalans. So.
I'm not sure about, you talk about Guatemala, but Philippines is yes. Mexico, they have quite, I think they can visit like 100 to 130 country.
Okay.
Yeah.
But that's not 175 like a Malaysian can. So.
Yeah, but they can be travel quite a lot of country. More than 100 country is, I consider is good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Next up would be markets, like for shopping, not just local foods, but if you needed to go buy clothing shopping, does any one of those countries stand out in your mind?
I think I will pick Philippines. Not the on-site shopping, but is you can be online shopping with a very competitive price.
So online shopping.
Online shopping, I would
Okay.
say, because this Mexico, Guatemala, and Philippines, they don't have very strong,
Online
supermarket.
supermarket. Yeah.
Like in Puerto Molesto and Playa de Carmen, is some of product I also cannot buy.
Yeah.
Yeah, and Guatemala, same thing. Philippines, same thing. But in Philippines, I can be online purchase all these things because
Right.
they are in Asia.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And a lot of the products you want would be more Asian, the foods and things, and also
Yeah.
everything's cheaper.
It's cheaper.
Coming out of China, it's easy to get it down to the Philippines.
Even not only China, also from Korea and Japan. So
Yeah,
I can
yeah.
get everything from these two countries.
Right.
It's very easily.
On the other hand, in Mexico, you have, in the Quintana Roo area, you have a Costco and you have Walmart. And so for an American, maybe shopping's better in Mexico. The prices are higher though.
Yeah, the
much
price is
higher.
higher. Yeah.
So there you go. I would say for mall shopping though, you seem to do okay in like Guatemala City. You seem to do okay.
In Mexico City.
Yeah, Mexico City.
There is a big city.
Big cities you're
Yeah.
fine, but smaller cities are a bit troubling if they don't have
Because they don't have like in Vietnam and in Malaysia, in Taiwan and Thailand, they have like a pharmacy store, Watsons and
Watsons,
Gardens.
yeah.
So they have a lot of drugstore over there for the skincare,
Yeah,
for the vitamin,
yeah,
for everything. Even in a small town, they also
Yeah.
have this kind of thing. So
Right,
it's
right.
easy for you to get like skincare and vitamin.
right.
Yes.
Okay, next up would be access. So by access, what I mean is how easy is it for people to get there? For example, it's easy for an American to get to Mexico. It's a little harder for them to get to Guatemala. It's a little further and it's a little more remote. But it's, it's just one country south. Whereas the Philippines is quite a bit of work to get there.
Yeah.
Whereas from Malaysia or from Asia in general, the Philippines are a little closer. Just a few, maybe 4 or 5 hour
Yeah, it's
plane,
4 or 5 hour plane.
plane
yes.
flight. So in terms of access, I would say for an American, Mexico is the most accessible.
Yeah.
Accessible of the ones.
It's very easy,
Yeah,
you know.
very easy to get down to Mexico.
It's like US to go to Mexico. It's like Malaysia go to Thailand.
Yeah, it's very easy.
Yeah, it's very close.
And the other thing is right now Mexico is open, at least today, when we were making this video.
Yes.
And so is Guatemala for that matter. But we did have to get a COVID test to go to Guatemala.
Yes, you.
Mexico didn't need a COVID test, and right now Philippines is closed. So
Yeah.
accessibility, Philippines loses today.
Yeah.
But in general, Mexico for Americans is easier to get to. Next up, the visa. Like which visa is easy? Now we're slow travelers. That means we're not going to the government and asking for a retirement visa or employment visa or a long-term visa or this thing. We just go to a country, enjoy it for 3 months, 6 months. And so, what's the easiest place for us to go to of those three visa-wise?
Visa-wise, Mexico, Guatemala, and then after that is Philippines. Because Philippines, if you don't know about Philippines, everyone go to Philippines, most of the country is only can have 1 month entry.
Right.
And you have to have an onward flight ticket.
Right,
Even you are US or Malaysian, we have to have it.
right.
And
And then you have to renew every month.
yes, you have to. That is very easy. You can
You can renew 6 months at a time. Yeah.
6 months at a time.
Right.
So it depends. If you don't want to extend your visa, then Mexico is the best. 6 months.
Just boom, 6 months.
And
Guatemala's 3 months, right?
3 months.
Yeah.
And then Philippines is 1 month, and if you know how to extend it, which is very easy, it's 36 months.
And yeah, so I would say if you want to go somewhere and stay for a year or two, I would say Philippines wins because you don't even have to do a visa run.
Yes.
You just go the first couple months, you go in and you get your tourist card, and then every 6 months after that, you renew. So.
And there's no questions asking for extending. It's just
pay
money. How many months? Pay money.
Pay money, yeah.
And your photocopy, and that's all.
And you can do that for 3 years before you have to do a visa run. So.
I think most of the people will be run out in a year or two. Go somewhere and come back.
So for slow travelers, probably Mexico wins because it's just booms. And it depends what country you're from, but as an American or as a Malaysian, you land, you have 6 months.
Yes.
Second, maybe Guatemala, 3 months without a worry. And then as a slow traveler, if you don't want to really go in and get a visa extension after a month, you just want to enjoy yourself. So Philippines comes last. But if you want to go for a year or 2 or 3, Philippines wins.
Yes.
Next up is language. Which one's easiest language-wise?
Language, I think it's almost the same to me because we don't speak Filipino language.
True.
And we don't speak so well in Spanish.
Right.
So we just know how to order food, just comments,
Yeah, just friendliness.
Yes.
And ask how much things cost.
Yes.
And we know a lot of words, so we can tell if some food has something in it we don't want to eat, but we're not really fluent in Spanish. But when you say that doesn't it seem like more people speak English in the Philippines, maybe?
Yes, it's more people speak English in Philippines.
Yeah, so if you get outside of a tourist area in Mexico, it's not unusual not to be able to talk to somebody. Then you have to get your phone out and start doing Google Translate or whatever. But that doesn't happen too much in the Philippines, does it? I mean, we're able to hack our way through, even if their English isn't that good.
Mostly they need to know is the number. And what we need to know is also its number.
Right.
It's more about the money.
Yeah.
And left and right, you just point left and right, that's all.
Yeah. Yeah, so I would say language, I would give Philippines the win there.
Yes.
But if you're in tourist areas in Mexico, you're fine. Guatemala is even a little less English, I would say, than Mexico. Yeah. Even in some tourist areas, you can walk into a place and they have to go find a person that speaks English, but all of them are workable as an English speaker. English is the language of money, and people want to separate you from your money. They have to speak a little English. So, and it's kind of arrogant for me to say that, but it's true. It's all over the world. It's Chinese is the #1 language in the world, then Spanish, and then English is third.
It's most speaking language.
Most speaking people.
Yeah.
Count the people that speak languages. Chinese first, Spanish second, English third. But English is, interestingly enough, around the world, somebody's going to speak English near you until you get into remote areas. So it's, but you get into a remote area, in some parts of the world, you're not going to find somebody who speaks Chinese. You might luck out with Spanish if it's, but you never know. Mm-hmm. Okay, finally, so you have to go somewhere for a year right now. Where would you pick?
If I can go to Philippines, I would choose the Philippines. Okay. I will have my Thai food, Korean food, Japanese food, whatever foods.
So Chung's all about food. But you really liked Puerto Morelos when we were there. But we just were there, you just missed the food more?
Yeah, I miss the food more. You cannot ask me in this time because what I'm thinking is about the food. I love Puerto Morelos. If I have my food craving, I satisfy my food craving, yes, I can live there for a year. Yeah.
Of the three, right now I would also pick the Philippines because we were in the middle of touring the Philippines and we were having a great time when coronavirus happened, and I sort of in my mind that's where we are. We're waiting to finish our tour in the Philippines. Yes. And it's a fun place. It's beautiful. It's cheap. It's exciting. And so I would pick the Philippines too for 1 year. Then
what about if right now? Don't say about Philippines.
Okay.
Because it's pandemic. So which one you would choose, Mexico or Guatemala?
To spend a year?
Yeah.
Well, that's really tough.
Yeah. Can I say mine?
Yeah.
Well, we spent about like 2 months in Guatemala actually, because 1 month in Antigua.
Yeah.
And I feel the peaceful in Guatemala, in Antigua and Lake Atitlan. That's why I'm feeling to go back, because it's so peaceful. I no need to deal with any trouble or anything. Everyone's happy and smiling.
Yeah.
Yeah, so.
We didn't have much trouble in Mexico though, but I agree it's more peaceful.
Oh, yes, we don't have trouble in Mexico. I mean, yes, but the thing is, in Lake Atitlan, is they have quite a lot of restaurant open in San Pedro. You know, life. You know.
And Antigua, like every restaurant was open.
Yeah, and Antigua, every restaurant is open.
Yeah.
But in Mexico, if you're talking about Puerto Molesto, it's only like few restaurants surrounding. You know.
Yeah.
Yeah. In Huatulco, it's mostly seafood.
Yeah.
Yeah. Puerto Escondido, not bad, because they mix, because there's hippie town, so they have vegetarian, they have different kind of food over there.
Right.
It's not bad to be living over there.
Yeah,
as
that's
well.
a good spot.
Yeah. So overall, I would, like we saying before, I would choose to be staying in Antigua.
Yeah.
And I can travel to Lake Atitlan
for the next year. Yeah, that's a good choice.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's, I would agree that, I don't know, it might be because Guatemala has a more rural feel to it. It also has a feeling of original people more. Mexico is more integrated with Spain. It was more colonized. In some sense, it feels like that. But when you're in Guatemala, you feel it's a more peaceful, indigenous feeling to it.
I think it's less tourists in Guatemala, which is make them it's more peaceful.
And it's a little bit more sophisticated tourists there.
Yeah.
Often in Mexico, it's people that maybe they've only been to 3 or 4 countries, and they're not as they're expecting to be catered to more. Where Guatemalan tourist is a bit more sophisticated, and they're more willing to accept the culture they're in.
Yes, they are.
So anyway, that's our story. Thanks for watching.
Thank you for watching.
Have a great day. Oh, by the way, make sure to like, comment, or subscribe.
Too late.
Too late. Oh.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Thanks for watching our video. Click the link in the notes below this video to get a copy of this content. Plus, grab a free copy of my ebook, How I Fired My Boss and Traveled the World for 13 Years. While you're there, check out our catalog of retired cheap reports all over the world and our hobby income course that we just released. Thanks so much.